Hello, good people. Welcome to our show. Hello, bad people. Welcome to our show. Hello, anyone who want to learn more about SEO. Welcome. Today we have a special episode because we're going to discuss enterprise SEO. I know it's very competitive, but if you do it right, you can get great results. It works great. And today it's very important to think more about getting sales than traffic because many things are changing fast. We need to adapt. We need to find new solutions or use old methods we can figure out today with Daniel Horowitz. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Anatoly. Excited to be here.
Oh, big pleasure, big pleasure. I check out your LinkedIn profile. I know you have great experience
Oh,
about
thank you.
enterprise SEO. I have a lot of questions about that. I think my audience wants to learn more as well. It's very important for us. Daniel, before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, and anything that can help our listeners to learn more about
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. So I've been in the SEO industry for a decade. So currently I am the SEO lead at Informatica.com. Actually, we were recently acquired by Salesforce. So now we're a Salesforce company. So I'll be the SEO domain owner for Informatica.com within the Salesforce ecosystem. But yeah, I've been in the industry for a decade. Kind of been in this role for about 3 years prior to doing work on Informatica.com. I work client side, so I worked at a small agency. I ran link building operations. We worked with some major clients like Shopify, eTrade, Jotform, Segment, etc. So kind of have experience all over the block. Besides for that, I also do some SEO consulting. I've worked with a lot of clients on the cybersecurity side, so like Synopsys, Black Duck, also on the travel side, like Keen Footwear. My wife is a travel blogger. She runs a blog called Alex on the Map, so I've helped her there. So, kind of, I would say most of my experiences in enterprise, some travel as well.
Whoa, that's cool. That's cool. So huge experience. You know
Yeah.
how to implement all of that. So Daniel, I will not ask generic questions like what enterprise SEO means, but I'm interested what enterprise geo, generative engine optimization
Sure.
means. Can you tell about that?
Yeah, it's kind of a different discipline in a way than I think we've been thinking about geo, or I just call it AI search at our company. But the big difference about something with geo versus classic SEO is you don't have total control of your overall digital footprint, right? You can control everything on your website, but you can't control if you had a disgruntled employee on Glassdoor who wrote a bad review 10 years ago, and that pops up in sentiment analysis. So I think, to me, the big difference on an enterprise level is kind of building these relationships, building governance, creating relationships for, on my side, I'm the only SEO at Informatica, which is crazy for a 5,000 person company. So I went and build relationships with, our product teams, with our web and dev teams, with our content teams, with leadership as well. And, being able to learning to present to executives, because, we have a great opportunity right now in the SEO industry that GEO, AEO, whatever people are calling it. This is all over the boardroom, right? Every executive is talking about this. So this is our opportunity to get involved in these strategic conversations. So that's where I see the shift from, enterprise perspective. Obviously, optimizing for generative engines for, let's say, local SEO. That's a little different, right? Or e-commerce, but we're talking about enterprise, and that's really when you have to build these relationships. I would say that's the big difference, because when I started in this role, SEO was kind of like the janitor in the closet kind of role, right? Like you would, optimize some meta tags, titles, whatever, meta descriptions, update some content, but it wasn't anything that really had executive level visibility. And now it does. So, great opportunity for us as an industry.
That's cool. Daniel, I'm interested about creating the right strategy for enterprise SEO, especially, I spoke with many experts and all of them have different opinions. That's cool. It doesn't mean someone is right or wrong. It means anyone can use something that can work for them. So can you tell what kind of strategy can you create for your company that give a strong reason to be acquired like big company like Salesforce?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't want to say that our SEO strategy is a reason why we were acquired, but I would say a big thing is product alignment. And, I think there's been this idea of, in all these AI visibility tools that are coming out. Not saying there's anything wrong with tracking prompts from like a directional standpoint. Like it's good to see, how often you're showing up and the ways you're showing up. There's nothing wrong with looking at that data, but as we know, LLMs are non-deterministic, right? So you put in an answer, you put in a prompt, you get an answer, put in the same thing 15 minutes later, it's a different response, right? So, very hard to optimize in the same way that you would do for SEO. But from an enterprise perspective, we're very interested in not just how often we're showing up. We don't really care about overall visibility. Not to say it doesn't matter, but like if it's being done in irrelevant ways. But what we do care is how we're showing up, right? So from a product perspective, to give you a little context of the Informatica story, we are sort of a company that was historically an on-premises solution, for data management, right? So that's, Informatica is a 30-year-old company, from, an internet perspective, that's basically a dinosaur, right? There's not too many companies like Amazon that have been around since that time. So, in the last 5+ years, we have been moving to our cloud-based solution, which is called IDMC, Intelligent Data Management Cloud. So that is our all-in-one data management solution that offers, data governance, data quality, data cataloging, et cetera. But this is a cloud-based solution. So we're known as an on-premises company, which is with our Power Center solution, we want to be known for IDMC. So we use the SEMrush AI SEO toolkit. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have used different AI tracking tools. This one's $100 a month. So if you're looking to just get started, you don't want to commit to something like Profound, which could be like $10,000 a month. I recommend it just to get some directional level data. So we did kind of a deep dive analysis of all the prompts that it provided. And we found that we were showing up for Power Center at a 4-to-1 ratio of IDMC. This is a real problem because our broader market story is that, we're a bit of an outdated solution, that, we're on premises, people are going cloud now. Although obviously that shifted a little bit with AI data centers and everything. But overall, that's the story. So, this is a big problem for us as a business. We've done a lot of advertising, to try to show that we're a cloud solution. So to go to these AI answers and show that they're pulling from, 30+ years of data around, let's say there's an article in TechCrunch 15 years ago about Power Center. And, we have no control over that. We can't get that scrubbed from the internet by any means. But what we can do is obviously manipulate our own content on our website to make it very clear that we don't offer Power Center. So I'll give you an example of what we did. So we went into our search console. We found all of our top ranking Power Center pages. So we had this one page that was like a legacy page from like 10 years ago, which was about how to download a local instance of Informatica Power Center. This is a problem because we don't offer that, right? Why do we have a page advertising, LLMs are pulling from that? So what we did is we updated the page, we made it, we put in FAQs about like why you can't download Power Center, why IDMC is the alternative. We updated the page copy, the titles, everything. And then, of course, like it's impossible, as we were talking about, LLMs are non-deterministic. So it's impossible to know if something 100% worked. But, you could go to Gemini, which is, unlike ChatGPT, is connected to the web. And, you could see like, okay, like now it knows that Power Center is not downloadable. So that's a start. I'm not saying that's the end all to be all the strategy, but like if we can kind of do that and repeat that in different contexts, find the ways that Power Center is being mentioned and then try to fight that with our internet content. Also, of course, using a topical authority strategy, creating a lot of articles about, different like, let's say cloud data integration, cloud data management, et cetera, to show that we are a cloud company.
Yeah, you remind me when I wrote an article, how to earn online, and we got a lot of traffic. I don't remember, a lot of traffic, plus 1,000 people every single day. But my sales department said to me, please remove this article.
No.
I asked why. Because a lot of irrelevant people to our service started to reach out to us and ask how to earn online.
Right.
How to earn money on playing games, how to earn money on trading, a lot of irrelevant questions. So I removed this article. That was tough for me because I spent some time.
Of course, and you're getting the traffic.
Yeah,
I
my
mean,
personal
that's
experience.
absolutely. And to your point, all traffic is not created equal, right? Like we're not, maybe if you're running a publication and you're doing, affiliate income, ad revenue, sure, you could say that all traffic has a place, right?
Yeah.
But if you're running a business, especially an enterprise level business, well, no, not all traffic is created equal. We want highly qualified buyers, and that's where having a GEO strategy is actually great, because these do, at least for software businesses, these do convert at a higher rate. I think it depends on the business, but
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of studies out there where they've said, AI traffic converts at, X amount more. I think it really depends on the business, but I could say for our business, it does.
Yeah, Daniel, I have a bunch of questions, especially
Yeah.
some controversial questions, because I see different opinions about tracking AI prompts. Or tracking brand mentions on AI search, because many experts don't believe on that. They say, no, you don't need to track AI brand mentions. It's not the same like to track on Google your ranking positions, because AI can reply differently to different users because of personalization, because of learning previous chats, and can give different replies. That is why you can't get accurate data. Second thing, because it changes all the time. 50% of all results can be changed in 1 month. So, and many experts don't recommend the strategy, but I know other experts who can say, no, you need to track AI brand mentions, because it's better something than nothing. So even if its data is inaccurate. For example, let's imagine volume. Volume was never accurate metric. You don't know the real traffic from volume, but we still check out volume. We still want to know what kind of volume we have. So can you tell your opinion? You mentioned that about AI tracking. Do we need or not?
Look, I think you just hit the nail on the head with the volume thing, right? It's directional. Like you don't 100% know, you can't say for a fact, well, we're getting 500 searches a month for this keyword, and let's combine 10 of them that we should be ranking for, and we should approximately get, if we're in position 3, we should be getting 1,000 searches. Of course, that was always directional, right? Like you can get a rough idea, but you can't 100% forecast the performance based on a ranking. I think it's the same. I don't have a problem with tracking prompt data, because at least it gives you an idea. If you're going to promote that as gospel, if you're going to use like, well, our AI visibility score is 68 out of 100, of course not. Like that's impossible to determine. But should you at least have an idea of the way you're showing up? Of course. From an enterprise perspective, I think I personally have not had a difficult time explaining to our CMO and our leadership team that this data is directional. It's not like just because we're showing up in certain prompts doesn't mean we won't show up them in a month, like you said, but it just gives us an idea of where we're showing up. We can track, especially the pages that we're updating, or, new articles we're creating as a part of the topical authority strategy. Are these being mentioned, or these, obviously we know with AI search, we're not going to get a lot of clicks, right? Because these engines are not meant to send traffic. And when people click on the links, they're usually clicking on to double check what the LLM's saying. They're not necessarily, so often, from an enterprise perspective, well, we could convert without a website click, right? Which is great, because, if we're a known company already and people are just comparing solutions and things like that, or, we're not focused on that kind of like top of funnel. If someone's typing in what is cloud data management, well, it doesn't really matter if they're searching that, they're probably not the right person for our solution, because we're working with huge Subaru or Dallas Fort Worth Airport. We're not working with small clients by any means. So we're not like from an SEO perspective, of course we lost. Like every business, I think, has lost a lot of that top of funnel traffic. Depending on the business, it could be between 40%, 60% of traffic. But like we were talking about before, did that traffic matter? Did it convert for us? I mean, no. So our conversion rate is still good.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's talk about take again this top funnel traffic, because again, I see different opinions. I can learn from many people. Of course, I can find something that can work for me. But what I see when some experts believe that when you take top funnel keywords, uh, that is important for topical authority, because Google, ChatGPT can learn your content and analyze. Okay, you are expert on this niche. That is why many experts take these topics. I don't do it. I don't know. I don't do it because I think like we can take a lot of topics from bottom funnel as well. Even bottom funnel to cover all topics, it's hard. Can you tell your thinking about that? So, do we need to take top or medium funnel in order to get topical authority or not?
I think you still have to have it, right? I mean, Google still works on the same engine. Just because they're surfacing Reddit or things like that more doesn't mean that you shouldn't have some top of funnel articles. Does that mean you should go all in on, say, like a classic HubSpot pillar strategy? Of course not. If our whole business was based on the idea of ranking for, say, like what is cloud data management, well, that makes no sense for Informatica. But even if you're a smaller business, if you're a blog or something, well, people are starting to search in more specific ways. I mean, of course, historically with keywords, maybe you would have maximum 4 words in a keyword, right? And now it's like, well, people can search in a lot more personalized way. I think that the idea that Gemini is going to be on Apple phone soon, and Siri, I think that they're going to start to pull in things like Gmail, your YouTube search history to influence your personalization. And that's not going to just be an AI search, but that's also going to be in traditional search as well. Yeah, it still matters. It still matters because, if people are engaging with your content, even if it just shows up in an AI overview and somebody clicks it, well, yeah, that's going to all be factored into that personalization, right? So of course, like, you still want to show up as much as possible. Should you bank an entire strategy on top of funnel, like I think people had done historically? Definitely not.
Yeah, got it. Daniel, let's discuss about your management skills. You mentioned that in your company you're one SEO expert, but
Yes.
I think you need to manage others, because you can't win the battle without help. So basically, you have people who can help you to create content. So can you tell how you manage people who don't have SEO skills to create content that Google, ChatGPT, or any other environment can love?
Absolutely. So I can really talk about building relationships with the product marketing team, because and I'm not a product expert, right? I'm sure if someone on the product team was listening to this podcast, they'd be like, "Whoa, like you got like 8 facts wrong about our product," and that's fine. Like I'm an SEO expert, but they have expertise. I wouldn't try to be a product marketer, just like they wouldn't try to be an SEO, right? So we were able to partner on our topical authority strategy. So kind of what I would do is, I would talk with them, maybe we would do maybe a little bit of a conversation, I'd record it, then I'd create a topical map based on that conversation. I would kind of validate, go around, make sure that those topics are things that have some sort of volume attached to them, even if they're really personalized, that, some sort of articles or content exists like that on the web. Then I would kind of have them validate, make sure those topics are working well. And then I would create an SEO outline that, based on on their conversation, making sure that the salient product points are put in, but also that, SEO expertise is put in. And I would kind of use like an AI driven process to do that. And, these outlines are really comprehensive, have clear sections, are, drawing from our product documents, drawing from our, kind of trying to get the product expertise out of our product marketer heads into these SEO outlines, which I think is really missing from the content process in general. Then we have, content writers we'll work with on our content team to actually develop these articles. So I'll kind of, I'll give them a really comprehensive outline, so they don't really need to know SEO. They just need to know how to write. And I think, fortunately, I'm a writer first. Like, that's what I studied in college. And, I'm still a writer. I write, I have a novel I'm writing and work on some comic book projects I've published. So like that's really like my first passion. That's how I got into SEO. So I think already being pretty expert on structuring content, things like that, has helped a lot. So, then once the content writer has written the article, I'll review it from an SEO perspective, but then the product marketer will review it from a product perspective, make sure everything's accurate, make sure that we're highlighting the correct features, also not saying things we can't do, with our solution, because I wouldn't know. as the SEO. So kind of marrying those three people, and then working with our web team ultimately to publish these articles, to build internal links to older content once we publish. So that's really kind of like orchestrating, including myself as the SEO, 4 different teams, just to get an article done. And in enterprise, things move slowly. We're not a small business. I mean, luckily, I have access to our back end, so I can publish on my own. But still, it's a process, right? So it's kind of like we have to align all the stakeholders, and they have to see the coherent vision. So before kind of getting funding to do these, do these projects, I ran a couple of pilots, with just like, $5,000, $10,000 funding, just to show that like, hey, topical authority works, because, nobody at the company really had known anything. I think prior to, me onboarding, the SEO strategy was not great. So, it's kind of like I had to come in and educate, which I think is a big part of the process of, you're not just managing stakeholder expectations, but you're creating those expectations to begin with, right? Because if they don't know what this is, well, you have to show them, well, this is, more than just best practice, but this is how this can actually help us.
Yeah, got it. Daniel, you mentioned that you have writing background. What I can see, I spoke plus 800 SEO experts on this podcast, including Neil Butler and Fishkin, Lily Ray, many big experts. So I don't know what happened.
You're back.
I don't know. It sometimes happens something with StreamYard that was not internet connection.
All good.
Yeah. So, okay. And when I spoke with many big experts, many of them said when ChatGPT was released in 2022, probably plus 90% of all experts said that AI can't compete with humans. So basically, humans can write much better than AI. It's low quality, it's hallucination. But when ChatGPT 5.2 was released and Gemini 3.0, I spoke with many other great experts, and many of them said, no, AI can write better than them. Real big names, so who have great experience in journalism and writing, and they can tell, no, AI can write better. I can admit it as well, because even if I love writing, I can't write in 1,000 styles.
Sure.
I can't do many things. But I stopped cooperating with editors, because I cooperated with editors for a long time. But for now, I stopped doing this, because I can edit with Gemini or ChatGPT. I can get great results. I love it. I can translate, because I speak Ukrainian and Russian, for example. Before that, we cooperated with companies that provided these translation services. But when I need to translate one text to different languages, I usually translate to Russian and Ukrainian and can check out if it's quality. If I don't need to change anything, that means quality, So I can understand different, I don't know, types of speaking, many things. It's really quality. What you think about AI quality generation today?
My feeling is it's a tool, and it's as good as the end user. So, for example, like if I was trying to translate something into Russian or Ukrainian, well, I don't speak these languages, right? So I would have no sense if it was accurate or not accurate, but you do. So if you're using it to translate and you think it's doing a pretty good job, being a speaker of these languages, then I'm sure it is. But it's all about what input you're putting in. So, it's kind of like a garbage in, garbage out. So, to the point of, let's say, we took this, this SEO workflow I had just kind of mentioned for content. Let's just say we just had the product marketer doing it, right? They don't know how to write an article ultimately. Like they're not writers. They don't know how to structure, they don't know SEO best practices. So they're going to just put in, write me a 2,000 word article about, cloud data management. And it's not going to be good, and it's going to be generic. But if I take, if we use this process, I create this, like I said, we do these SEO outlines, but they're ultimately AI generated. We're taking, what AI is great at is taking disparate sources and like kind of almost like Frankensteining them together, right? So we'll take some of our product messaging documents, we'll take some information from our product marketers, we'll take some information from our Google Search Console, so, and then we combine all that into a really comprehensive, we'll take some SEMrush data. So, combining all of that together into an SEO outline. And then let's say we went section by section and said like, hey, write me this section on, the best practices for cloud data management. And it already is pulling from all this information. Well, yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be a much better output than just say, write me a 2,000 word article on cloud data management. For the example of enterprise, especially we're in a pretty technical industry, it's tough because it really needs to be really, really accurate. But if we're writing about lawn care for like a local SEO business, well, that's different. That's more high level. That's not as, maybe we're just looking to rank in a local area, and maybe AI content is fine for that, right? So, I think that ultimately the best content probably will be human in the way that like, well, artisanal or organic food is better, but the majority of the food we eat as, certainly as Americans is processed, right? And I think that's where AI content is going to come in. It's probably going to fill the majority of the needs over time, but not these sort of like, if you need the highest quality, yeah, maybe you'll have a hybrid process like I was talking about, but pure AI generated content, without a ton of human oversight or, just like a little editing, but then again, if the person is really an experienced editor and they know what to look for and they know what to change, it's going to be better than if someone who has no writing background, uses it. Yeah. It's just a tool. Ultimately.
Yeah. I remember when I cooperated with a big company that can sell accounting services, and this company can have clients from Fortune 500. And I gave them the task: please create content according to these topics. Two experts with plus 20 years of experience, real big names. They know everything about accounting, but they know nothing about writing.
Yeah.
They wrote just generic, useless stuff because it was boring. I'm not sure about the quality, no logical structure, no introduction, just probably they think everyone can understand their minds, how to learn content. So, and today, if I cooperate with any content creators, I usually pay attention to two directions. First, anyone who can create content, they should have writing background. Without writing background, people can't create great content. And second, they need to pay attention to one topic. So, for example, I can write about SEO, I can write about digital marketing, but I can't create any great content about accounting or weight loss because I'm not an expert at that. I lost my weight. I remember I did it, but that was personal experience. I can't teach others. The same accounting. Sometimes I can calculate myself, So just with calculator, how can teach others about that? So yeah, I think it's very important. But Daniel, I want to ask about another aspect. I want to ask about creating non-boring content. So basically, I spoke with Jim Edwards. He worked in Business Insider 10 years. He started on this company from scratch. Then company was sold for $500 million, a lot of money. Man. So, and he told me that success of Business Insider depends on creating non-boring content. So when they started the company, they had the meeting and decided, okay, we can create non-boring content. So business, it's boring, but they found the way how to engage people. And I see it's a big issue. It's a big issue if you don't provide storytelling, if you don't provide something that interesting to read. It's not only about article writing. The same TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. People are impatient. Nobody wants to learn something that is boring. So can you tell your methods how to create web content non-boring?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned Business Insider because my wife actually writes for Business Insider.
Wow.
So I know a bit about how to create content, but you got to hook people, right? And you got to stop the scroll. I mean, I think that these days, for better or worse, probably worse for society, but maybe not bad for marketers, is people they just go on TikTok, they scroll. If you don't catch them in the first I think it's like 2 seconds. right, they'll move on. So you need to have it really work on your hooks. I mean, that's how I grew my LinkedIn. You have to engage someone in the first sentence, maybe two. Otherwise, they're going to move on because there's an infinite amount of options. So if you're creating any content online, I think this is why a lot of this top of funnel content is struggling in an AI SEO world because well, if I want to know what is cloud data management, well, why wouldn't I read the AI overview, right? Like as a user, there's nothing that your article provides that this doesn't, because this gives me the definition in the first two sentences. And, that's the intent of the search. If I'm looking for what is, well, I want to know what it is. So, trying to match, I think the intent of, from certainly web content, now is, I think, way broader than just written content. Video is short form video, YouTube, Reddit stuff, you got to be everywhere. Right. But, just I think the commonality between all these different formats is you got to hook someone really quick and you have to really match with the intent of what you think your users are looking for. So, it's a little different running, say, like a lifestyle Instagram account, but you have to know, like, why are people following me, right? If you're running a social media account, or if you're running a blog, you have to say, why are people reading my blog? Are they looking for just information? Are they looking for storytelling? Are they looking for both? How do I marry those two? I don't know if anyone's 100% cracked the code on that, but, just things to think about. I know for my own LinkedIn content, I'm always like, well, someone's scrolling, you get 2 seconds. Like, what can you do in those 2 seconds in that first sentence or two to hook the user?
Yeah. Daniel, once I got 4 emails from Neil Patel, basically from Neil Patel Digital, from this company.
Yeah.
I don't think that Neil Patel spent time to have these emails. But so basically, I got 4 emails from Neil Patel Digital, and all these emails proposed me good speakers who can speak on this podcast. I analyzed them. Yeah, real good people. I invited them back. But I didn't do from the first attempt because I was waiting for sequences. I just want to know what kind of sequences Neil Patel can use. So I'm professional at that. But what was interesting about these emails, I got them like 3 months ago. That was not cold outreach. That was not human written. That was AI personalization. So basically, all these emails say to me that they love my podcast. They listen to this podcast, all episodes. That's not true.
Of course.
But it's not that I'm picky. You need to listen to my podcast or you can speak there. No. I care about value. If someone can bring value, I don't care listen to it or not. But what was interesting about these emails, that was AI personalization. I can score them like 7 to 10. So basically, cold email can be 5 to 10. Human written, probably well researched to learn about recipients, can be 9 to 10 or 10 to 10. But that was like 7, not bad. And I started to use the strategy. I use Claude to personalize 10,000 messages, and we got good results with that. I mean, like, people like it. So basically, I paid for Claude API $20 for 10,000 emails to learn recipients to have these messages. So what you think about such new thing like AI personalization today?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably more experienced in that with me, but I think it's going to be highly effective, and it sounds like it is already. I mean, I'm very interested to see what Google does with bringing in your Gmail, bringing in your YouTube, bringing in everything from the Google ecosystem to kind of create a cohesive search experience. Because I think that's going to, I mean, look, how many people are addicted to the TikTok For You algorithm, right? That's personalization. Yeah, I'm including myself as well. I'm not going to say I spend under an hour a day on TikTok. So yeah, I think this stuff is highly effective. I think that historically, personalization, especially in ads, has not really hit the mark. So like, let's say I'm looking for a car, right? And I'm doing a lot of research around a car. And, ultimately I settle on a Subaru Crosstrek. I buy the Subaru Crosstrek. Then I get 100 ads about Subaru. Well, that's not effective because I already bought the car, so I'm not looking to buy another car. But now if I could track your Gmail, your YouTube history, things outside of that, maybe I would have a better idea of where you're at in the buying process, and that'll be a more efficient use of ad dollars, and that'll be better personalization, better targeting. So I don't see why it wouldn't be effective.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Um, TikTok is only one application that I removed 10 times
Yeah.
because I'm very addictive with that. So I need to work, but I'm watching these videos. I usually start watching in restroom, but then I can't stop it. I keep watching them and understand I need to do many things. So I use some applications to block more than 15 minutes a day, but it doesn't work. So when application can show the notice, I can deny. I can keep watching. And about car dealerships, I can recommend one life hack. If you sell your car, use number that you don't need at all. I mean, like, or email, because when you sell, you can get plus 100 calls after that. Someone can propose you, I can buy your car, I can sell your car, I can help you with insurance, many things, so very annoying.
Definitely.
Yeah. Daniel, okay. I think it's very important to discuss about link building, and PR. So again, different opinions. And what I can see, many online studies can recommend to pay attention to PR or fresh backlinks, because AI search can prefer fresh links. What do you think about old strategies like skyscraper technique done by Brian Dean, broken link building? Because all the strategies recommend to put links into the existing pages. So in different ways, you can reach out to website owners and give them a strong reason to put your link, or to update content, anything like that. So what do you think about that?
Look, I think it all still matters, right? I think you got to do the new and the old. I think that there's this idea that people are over-indexing just on the AI search and dropping anything that matters for Google. Look, Google is still 80% of the search market, right? So just because these are older, traditional SEO, it still matters a lot, especially like, for older businesses and things like that. Okay, maybe e-commerce, people will, take a picture and, ask for similar products and things like that. So I could see it mattering different than that. Let's say you're doing local SEO. Well, it still matters quite a bit. I don't think people are generally going just to AI engines to find a landscaper these days. They're probably still I would think they're still using local SEO. I think there's a lot of bias I was actually running a roundtable discussion at a conference last week, and we were talking about this where, it was a conference of, CMS developers. And a lot of it is like, well, we're inherently a biased group, right? Well, we all use AI search, we're all on ChatGPT or Gemini, but like your audience might not be. So, you still have to show up in the places that matter. So that includes traditional link building tactics. Of course, those still work. The Google algorithm itself is not fundamentally changed. It's, I think, over-indexing on things like brand in the way that it didn't before. But, how do you build a brand? How do you build brand signals? I mean, things like digital PR is a great example of that.
Yeah, got it. Daniel, I have my final question, and I think it's very important question for my audience and for me as well. I want to ask about something that you don't recommend to do today. I mean, like, many things are the same, like SEO, geo. Some experts can say, no, geo is SEO, nothing new. Google can recommend, so without SEO, you can't get geo. So, but anyway, from your experience, what you don't recommend to do today, it's obsolete, completely obsolete, just forget about that.
Don't over publish just because you have the ability now with AI. Look, it used to be in the past, if you wanted to build a site, you had to hire, a writing team, you had to hire an editing team. We're talking about topical authority. It's expensive, right? Now, great. You could just do it yourself in theory, but I wouldn't over publish just because you have the ability to. You need to make sure that everything is quality, it's cohesive, that it all fits a broader story. So sure, you could still publish maybe twice a week, but don't publish 20 articles in a week just because you have the ability to, because they're probably not going to be good. You're probably going to be hit in some future Google update. I think this is happening to a lot of pure AI generated sites. Look, maybe if you're the type of person, you're kind of in the gray hat zone, you want to just kind of like rank and rent, build a site, get the money for 6 months and know that it's going to get destroyed. Okay, I can see the argument. But if you're looking to try to build a sustainable business, if you have an underlying business model, don't do that, because you're going to hurt yourself long term. And I would really advise against things like another thing that I think is coming up in the GEO space is the chunking of content. I've heard that a lot, where like, kind of create 100 word digestible chunks so that, LLMs can read it. Look, does heading hierarchy matter? Of course, but it always mattered. Use H3s, use H4s, but only when it makes sense for the article. Don't just do it for the sake because you heard from some GEO expert on LinkedIn that this is what you need to be doing,
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I agree with that. I only over-publish on social media, because on social
That's
media,
fine.
on social media you can publish anything. Sometimes I don't know which content can bring results. It's not the way that I'm looking for something viral. I just publish, and I know if it's low quality, if nobody's interested, okay, it will die like in 20 minutes,
Sure.
But if it's valuable, people will love it, share, and you can get some results with that. Basically, we started to use a lot AI generated videos. It's not like complete AI generation. We combine with human touch, mix that, and I was quite surprised because we paid attention to YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. But my biggest surprise was that we got highest engagement on Facebook Reels. I never expected. Yeah, I never expected it. It's interesting because even now we get plus 1 million views weekly on Facebook Reels.
Wow.
With this AI generated videos. I mean, like, what I can say about that? I didn't expect Facebook, because Facebook killed organic reach for brands like in 2016. But today Facebook doesn't have enough content for Reels, and demand is high, and Facebook doesn't know what to show. So basically,
right.
So yeah, just guys, if you want to do it, just try it. It's not like that you can get it in a few days, but today, I mean, like, we publish a lot of videos and we didn't get results with these videos on Facebook for 10 months. But after the last 2 months, 1 million views each week, very relevant views.
Well, I guess the algorithm knows what your content is about. So
yeah. Daniel, thanks a lot for your time, for all these valuable bombs. Welcome back anytime to share more valuable insights.
Absolutely.
Tell the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Yeah, so you could just connect with me at LinkedIn. So you could just search, Daniel Horowitz SEO. Probably should have a website at some point, but right now, just my content's mostly on LinkedIn. So excited to connect with you there.
Yeah, if you open Claude Sonnet 4.5, you can create this personal website fast.
There you go. That's what I'll have to do.
This model is great, lovable, great tool, Gen Spark. So basically, it doesn't cost a lot if you want to create something simple. So these AI models can do it today. Thanks again, Daniel. It's a big pleasure. Welcome back anytime. You know how to bring value. You know how to create non-boring content. So guys, I recommend to anyone to follow Daniel. I personally follow because I know it's important for me to learn something new, because our industry is growing fast. So you need to adapt. Okay, guys, love you. See you.
Thanks, Anatoly. Bye.